We interrupt this edition of Fantasy Football today with some breaking news. Derek Jeter's induction into Cooperstown will have to wait another year. The Baseball Hall of Fame has canceled this year's induction ceremony because of the COVID-19 pandemic. This year's class, Jeter, Larry Walker, Ted Simmons, and the late Marvin Miller will be enshrined next summer alongside the 2021 class. Released in a statement by the chairman of the National Baseball Hall of Fame, it read, "Induction weekend is a celebration of our nation's pastime and its greatest legends, and while we are disappointed to cancel this incredibly special event, the board of directors' overriding concern is the health and well-being of our new inductees, our Hall of Fame members, our wonderful fans, and the hundreds of staff it takes to present the weekend's events in all of its many facets. We care deeply about every single person who visits Cooperstown." Here to weigh in, David Sampson, host of Nothing Personal with David Sampson and all things baseball. We got to get your initial reaction on this, the postponement of the 2020 enshrinement ceremony. David, what does this mean for right now, and what does this mean for baseball?
Well, I think this was expected. What the Hall of Fame, when they get the board together and they talk, they knew that there was going to have to be some sort of postponement. There was really no way. They were expecting 100,000 people to descend upon Cooperstown. It is the opposite of social distancing. And absent testing or some other way to protect the fans, you were going to have a problem. The second issue is the Hall of Famers who come for induction weekend, they are all in the demographic that is very much at risk with COVID-19. So there really was no other option, but they did wait as long as they possibly could. And it's not a postponement. This is a straight cancellation, and they'll combine it now in 2021 with that class.
Yeah, pretty unprecedented in what we're seeing here with things being rescheduled. And as you said, a cancellation, not a postponement, but we're trying to put two and two together here. Does this have any sort of implication on where baseball is at with their timetable? I know we got some news a day ago about the possibility of a restart and what that's going to look like, but does this have any indication, any bearing on that restart?
I think it just has a bearing as we look at what it will be like to have events of any kind. This was not something where there was a possibility of having an event without fans. The induction ceremony is the induction ceremony because of all the people who come to Cooperstown and who frequent the businesses and the shops and the museum, and then they're a part of the ceremony. They couldn't have done this without fans. While other sports, including baseball, are saying, can we possibly play this game but do it without fans? So I do not think there's any relation between canceling the Baseball Hall of Fame induction and starting the baseball season or continuing the basketball or hockey season.
David, you made the astute point in our break that, lives are being affected by this, as all of these sort of trickle downs are related to the COVID-19 outbreak. But in what this means for Cooperstown, we think about what these moments mean for these towns that are so reliant on it. Omaha for the College Baseball World Series, Cooperstown for this induction weekend. How is this going to affect the economics of Cooperstown?
So I was in Cooperstown in 2010, went because Andre Dawson, who was my special assistant for my entire time from 2002 to 2017, and I went there in 2010, and you realize what the economy, what happens in Cooperstown during induction weekend. Basically, you've got homeowners who are renting out their homes to people who are there for the induction. You've got businesses in this small town of Cooperstown who make, what they told me is they make between 3/4 and 90% of their annual income from that weekend and the festivities surrounding that weekend. So this will have a deleterious impact on their ability to try to make it to 2021. They'll have to go into their cash reserves or borrow money or maybe use some of the government stimulus money. So it's very difficult. That town comes alive. It's a tiny town, very hard to get to. And on induction weekend, it just feels like, it almost feels like you're in Iowa with Kevin Costner.
It is the place to be, and we're hoping that that aid comes sooner rather than later to keep Cooperstown looking as it does year after year in these great moments for Major League Baseball and its legends. But you're a baseball historian, and I want you to zoom out and look at baseball from a historic standpoint right now in these things that we're seeing. These cancellations and these postponements have almost come second nature to us over the last couple months, but this is far from ordinary, David. Where are you at right now just in your macro view of baseball as a whole?
Well, I look back, what I'm doing is using work stoppages as my sort of bellwether, and looking back at 1981, looking at 1994-95, the World Series, many people don't even remember. The World Series was canceled only 26 years ago in 1994. The sport came back in 1995. We had a World Series. We had the home run chase in 1998. Baseball finds a way, sports find a way, but there's going to be an adjustment. And all this talk about the home run ball and whether or not there's more home runs, all this talk about steroids and what baseball did to bring back fan interest, we don't need to worry about that now, because fan interest is skyrocketing because we all want this return to this feeling of normalcy, but we're going to be willing to adjust to the new normal. If we have to get our temperature checked, we'll get it checked. If we have to wear a mask, we will wear a mask. But the key is we want to see competition because we want to feel as though the world is in a certain order. These one-off events being canceled like the Hall of Fame, we're going to be okay. Next year, Derek Jeter will be there. Larry Walker will be there. And it's going to be okay. And I think that's what's important to remember right now.
Well, you get a resounding second from me. Before we let you go here, you talk about Jeter being there, Walker being there. Who else will be there in 2021?
Well, I think the favorite right now is Curt Schilling. What Curt Schilling does not have going for him is post-baseball, he's had a pretty controversial life in terms of his social media presence. He was not very popular with media members, but he has climbed up. And where he stands right now, I would say he has a good chance. What could work against him, however, and this was not something that was a factor until today, it is possible the baseball writers will not want to, quote, sully Jeter's induction by adding Curt Schilling to the dais. And they want to give Jeter his moment with just Walker and Ted Simmons and Marvin Miller. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with the voting next year.
Well, we're always appreciative of your perspective. David Sampson, thank you so much.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.